You are now listening to another episode of the Chanel and Alan Chit Chat Podcast with your hosts, Chanel Marshall and Alan Byrne.
I'd love an ice lolly now, man. I'd love.
I know.
I'd like. What was my favorite ice lolly when I was? There's in Ireland. I don't know if you have them here. Probably do. I think most of them start loop de loop. You ever had a loop de loop? It sounds like it's a sort of a sex thing. It's not. I don't think it could be. It's not what I'm afraid of. Where a loop-de-loop, right? The top part, maybe that is only in Ireland. The top part of it is chocolate, but it's crappy chocolate. You know what I mean? It's like fake chocolate covered over a really great yellowy bit that tastes like kind of like pineapple maybe, but not really. It's like some synthetic shit. And then the bottom part kind of tastes like kiwi, but not really. It's some synthetic-y shit. Really good. It's just like it's like all the best E numbers, you know? Just and it's got consistency. It's like it's in between ice cream and ice lol. It's not fully one or the other. That's what's nice about it. It's not, but, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't understand why the chocolate is involved.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if it's kiwi and pineapple, why the hell is there the fake chocolate involved?
I don't know.
That's weird.
I'm just telling you, it works, man. That's all I know.
Yeah, but we had, what's it called? Knobbly or? No, Fab. Sorry, it's called Fab.
Fucking how did you get knobbly from
like,
Fab?
No, because of Fab and this knobbly. You know, like when they do the off, like the cheaper brand or whatever, they try and do the same thing. They will call it like a knobbly, whatever.
Right.
Yes, it's called a Fab, and then it had like it was a strawberry ice lolly, but then it had like a white bit, and then it had like the hundreds and thousands stuck on it.
Oh yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was good. And then you had
Twisters. I like a twister, man. I like a twister. Yeah, man. I like a twister. I think the one you just said there, that to me sounds like a brunch. Is that the same thing or is it a different thing? Maybe they just have different names in Ireland.
I've never heard of a brunch.
Brunch is definitely. I think the inside it's like ice cream with strawberry, and then the outside is kind of like hundreds and thousands, but it's also kind of almost like it's more crummy than in lots of ways than it's hundreds of thousands. It's more like fucking mangled up shortbread or something. It's great, man.
Oh,
it's great.
Never had that. Never even heard of it.
It's very good. Yeah, ice lols around the world. A knobbly, man. I don't know if I'd be fucking, you know, some of those off brands you think, geez, pick a better name. But it's because it's got knobs on it, I suppose, doesn't it? It's got
knobs on it. Yeah.
It's got knobs on it. With knobs on. Now with extra knobs. That'd be, you know, twice the knobs. Double the knobs. Oh, my.
You done? Are you done?
It's fucking just never gets old. Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to think. I don't like... my mom's very into Magnums.
Magnums, like
she's a big Magnum fan. I can go either way on a Magnum, really. What? What?
Oh, because there's two other types of Magnum. There's a Magnum drink, which is basically like a wine, like tonic that's supposedly meant to make you get all in the mood. And then you've got the Magnum condoms. And then when you were saying, my mum likes Magnum, then you was like, oh, I could go either way on a Magnum.
I'd go either way, man. I tell you what.
I couldn't. My body was trying to like suppress. And it was like, you can't do it.
Hey, listen.
No.
I think if you want a fucking ultimate evening, you want a Magnum ice cream, a fucking Magnum tonic, and a packet of Magnum condoms. I mean, that's a whole night in right there. Like, that's a quality time. The triple Magnum. That's the way to do it. I've never heard of this Magnum tonic though. I haven't heard of that. I must get.
Yeah, it's like
an aphrodisiac.
It's like a. It tastes. It's interesting. Let's say that it's better to have it like cold though. Don't have it warm. I think it's weird. kind of has more of a burn warm. It's like.
Oh,
But,
interesting. Where can I get this?
Yeah.
Like, where's
in
my
your
nearest?
corner shops, like.
Okay.
We spoke about corner shops, didn't we? But yeah,
are they on the corner or not? Make up your mind, corner shops.
Yeah, we need to.
Advertising.
And you never actually like, because normally when you bring something up, you will go away and you'll research it, and then you'll come back with the deets, right? And you didn't come back with no deets on it, so now we're still left in the thing of. I think they originated on corners, so that's why they were called corner shops, and then they evolved to not being on corners. So
I think evolved is a strong description.
They evolved. Like they evolved from corners to streets. Like you're literally on the street. Okay, you're on the strip, and then now you're a news agent.
Like in my brain, it's like it's a generational, feud. It's like, Dad, I'm going to open a new corner shop. And he's like, oh, which corner is it? No, it's going to be in the middle of the street. And he's like, get out of here. You're not my son anymore. You betrayed the whole reason we started this business. It's a corner shop for a reason, son. Don't you understand what you're doing to your mother? No, I think basically I did go away and found out that like what you said is correct. So that there was no more interesting.
Oh, okay.
But there was it wasn't definitive, but that definitely seemed like that's what it was. So I think that's why I didn't mention it again. Probably just because Chanel was right about that one. Just fucking don't want to bring that up.
Yeah. You're like, she can't be right. No.
Corner. So if I go down to the corner shop, I can get myself some Magnum Tonic wine. I didn't know. Has to be like
a like one that obviously sells like alcohol and like those kind of things and stuff.
I got you. It's gotta be an adult corner shop. Is what you're saying. It's got not fully adult. There's not dildos hanging out the window, but it can't just be like Mrs. Jones' sweet shop. It's gotta be weed.
Do they still have the top shelf in a newsagents?
I think they do. I definitely have seen top shelf magazines on a top shelf in newsagents. I don't know if that's as much of a thing as it used to be.
Recently or like.
I feel like recently, but I don't know, man. Space and time is kind of collapsing, so who knows anything? And
know what I mean? I'm thinking like I haven't been in a newsagent's and looked all the way up. To be fair,
going in like
like it's just literally like eye level, and I'm short as it is, so it's. I really have to do.
Who knows what you're missing on out there? All sorts of mad stuff up there.
Yeah,
that's where the free money is. Didn't you know that? They put all the free money, any items they just want to give away for free. It's great.
If only.
Magnum. Okay, I know you could get that kind of stuff in the States and all them places. I didn't know you could get that here now as well. That's sort of the semi-medicinal stuff, the stuff that's like, it's not illegal, technically, Yeah,
because there's one there's Magnum. There's one called Root. I think is it called Roots or Bubba Roots or something. There's one that's called. Is it called Horny Goat or something?
Horny Goat sounds. I feel like I've heard of that.
Yeah, see what you can pick up.
I'll see what. But hang on now, Chanel. I need your. What's the point me taking this? If I'm. In isolation here by myself, I'm just be fucking more annoyed than I was previously, presumably.
Yeah, well, I would say maybe wait till quarantine's completely over.
Dude, just down one and out the door, fucking day one after quarantine.
Yeah,
but do you think this stuff works, Chanel? Do you want to? Does this work?
Do you know what? I've never actually. Drunk a whole one. I don't think I have. I've always split it, and then did I? Or I just drink it over a long period of time. And I don't think I've actually given it any
prolonged horniness.
You'd have wine and you'd just be doing stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever drank it and given it to myself and been like, okay. How do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? I haven't really given myself that.
Yeah.
Do you feel any different?
got you.
So yeah, I haven't actually given it any thought. I should actually like buy one and then be like, let's do some research. Is this right or isn't it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, interest. Yeah, maybe that's.
Ooh.
We definitely shouldn't do it live. I don't think we should do it live.
Oh God, no.
But
Yeah.
I think we should do this and come back with our reports.
Do
our
some
separate
research.
reports. A bit of R and D, huh? But if Viagra's legal now. They just sell that over the counter now. You can get that everywhere.
Oh, they have adverts on. If you watch, if you happen to watch,
copyright
like,
ran out or whatever it was.
Oh, if you have if you watch TV and it's like after, it's like after 9. It might be like a little bit later. I don't know. But then you'll see the adverts, and what is it called? Oh, I don't. It didn't obviously have that much of an impact on me. But I was just kind of like, really, we're really doing this now.
Cock you max, dick you more.
Like,
spitting it. I was going to say, I'm just just randomly spitballing.
Yeah. Oh, the joys.
John was spitballing at the meeting, and David was swallowballing. So there you go. Oh, can't take it back once you've said it. Oh
no, you can't. I can't unhear that. I cannot unhear that.
Yeah, but that's crazy. But that's a big. I saw a documentary about that on Vice or one of these. BBC Three? They're kind of like the British Vice. You know what I mean? They always like the documentaries that. Some of them are good, and then some of them are just like they film that this is a really important issue, and then you're just like, I don't know, man, this doesn't seem to be that important. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they're like, are mums too addicted to asparagus? Let's find. I'm like, I don't know if this is really as hard hitting as you're making it out to be. You know what I mean? But they had one all about how like young lads take Viagra too much, and they can't get it up without it, and that is an epidemic apparently. But if you're on BBC Three, everything's a fucking epidemic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the fact that the BBC didn't know about Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, man, he's fucking. They just do their own internal investigations of Viagra taste usage amongst the staff.
It makes me think that like they knew.
Man, everybody knew that shit, but it was like it's just like that thing where they like. It's true. I mean, it even happens in your own life. Not like that, I said, but like people know, but they don't want to know, so they just kind of like don't see it. But everyone is choosing not to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you think to yourself like, because my mom actually said when she was younger, she met him. Like I said, they went to something and she met him, and she's like, as a child, she felt weird, like, I don't like his vibe, like that vibe, just not for me. So she kind of like kept her distance. And then when she's always never liked him, like when she used to see him come on TV, she would just be like, I just don't like that man. He makes me feel sick. Yeah. And then when this all came out, she was just like, I was not surprised. She's like, I met him as a child and I literally was just repulsed and just thought he just seemed creepy.
It's creepy, dude.
And I kept my distance. I'm like, thank fuck for that. Like,
yeah, man, absolutely.
That could have been a whole different story you're talking, like, but
horrific to think of that
he just looked. I know you shouldn't like stereotype and say like there's a certain look for like pedos and like that kind of thing. Because there isn't like, but you have that, he's that stereotypical. He fits the stereotype of what you would think. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
And he was just in everyone's face, and everyone's all like, oh my days. He fucking fits the stereotype. Come on, let's not be silly.
You gotta feel bad. There's gotta be guys out there who just, there's not a counterpoint, which is a secondary thing. Like, it's important not to think that you can spot a pedophile, because the whole point is you can't, because that's how they get away with lots of it, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But also, there's definitely like a look where you're just like, man, if he's not a pedophile, I'll put money on it now. Like, you just be walking down the street and be like, oh, I'll give you £20. He's molested a child in the last week,
Like, but then it's even that, like,
but then
you can have that. Why would, like, what I'm saying is, if he has that stereotypical look, right? you don't want to go out and fully accuse that person and be like, they 100% have to be, right?
Of course. You
But
can't just based on a look, like,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
that would
But
be
you
nuts.
would be like, I'm thinking as a parent, you would be like, he looks like one, just in case he is one, I'm going to keep my kids away. You know,
yeah, man.
like,
yeah.
I'm going to keep that social distance, like, from the potential, you know?
Yeah,
like
100%.
I'm not going to be like, oh, well, he looks like a dirty bugger, but do you know what? Why not? It doesn't matter. Like, meh.
I can't remember who it was now, but there was some interview. This guy on the Sam Harris podcast, and he was talking about like people's like instincts and how actually it's interesting. We kind of like, as people try to be more accepting and try to be less prejudiced and all this other kind of stuff and less afraid of other people. One downside of that, like positive thing, generally speaking, positive thing, is that like people don't trust their instincts. So now if they get into a room with somebody, they're like, particularly if they're like different race, different whatever the thing is, if they don't feel comfortable, they're like, sometimes they attribute it to a prejudice when it's actually your like whatever instincts kicking in saying no, this person is a problem. And what he was saying was like, obviously you want to try and counter your own prejudices, biases. You don't want to like that, you don't want to see the creepy guy and be like, he's definitely a fucking pedo. But also like evolutionary, your brain is tuned with those instincts and you need to listen to them. Like they're also giving you information. So like if you're just like, no, I don't want to judge anyone, you know, and then
this is the thing. I watched a video the other day, and this lady was saying that she worked for like the FBI and stuff like that, and she's like guarded the president or whatever. So she was saying that, for instance, this woman was saying that she was walking down the street and this guy, she kind of felt a bit like funny. She was kind of like, she felt, obviously, once again, instincts kicking in, just thinking that I don't feel safe, he's not making me feel safe.
Yeah.
But because she didn't want to offend this person she doesn't freaking know, she continued to stay on that side of the street with him.
Right.
And then he ended up mugging her, right?
Right.
Now, she should have listened to her instincts and crossed the road.
100%.
Like, you blatantly was just like, oh no, I don't want to offend this stranger that I have no idea. It's not like you're turning around and saying, oh, because you are this, that's why I'm crossing the road. No, I've got a feeling, so now I'm going to cross the road.
Sure.
And it's like, she was basically saying as well, don't ignore your instincts, like, especially with people that you don't freaking know.
Oh, well,
like,
of course,
You're worried about offending them.
I mean,
you don't fucking know him. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. But that's all about, it's like, but again, it's funny because actually it's sort of flip sides of the same thing in the sense that like, what you need to do is you need to try to know yourself and why you're responding to certain things, but also trust yourself, right? So trust yourself that like, if I meet somebody, I'm like, I don't like this person's a dickhead, be like, am I a bit prejudiced in some way? And then just think about it. And maybe you are. Maybe you're like, oh, I never met someone from Vietnam before, and maybe they have a cultural tick. And I always pick Vietnam for some reason. I'm like, I don't know why I'm always picking on Vietnamese people. I don't know any of them. I know they're probably, you know, yeah, that's it. My deep-seated hatred of the Vietnamese.
Yeah.
So somehow it goes back to the whatever. But yeah, it's like, do evaluate yourself, but then also trust. You need to trust your own instincts as well, and be like, no, I dislike this person for there's something else there. It's not my own prejudice. Like, you need to be able to trust yourself. You know, you need to be able to know yourself, and that, like you said, that your heart is good, that your intentions are good, that it's not coming from a bad place. You want to be able to identify that in other people, but you also need to be able to identify it in yourself, so you trust yourself to make the right decisions.
See, I don't have that issue. Like, for me, I can meet someone and I can...
Surprise, huh? I can stop the presses.
I don't know what this is. Like, there's this, like, you're very combative, right? There's something there, just like, and you keep always going back to, like, Vietnam or Vietnamese people, like, there's something here with me being, like, right, being sure of myself, knowing self you have an issue with, but whatever. But no, like, I can pick up on something from someone, and they might not have done anything, spoken to me wrong, looked at me funny or whatever, but something in me is just like, I don't want to be around you. Doesn't mean I don't like you, doesn't mean I despise you or whatever. It's just, something in my being doesn't connect with yours. And it's like what Jamaicans would say is like, Miss Spirit, now take them. Miss Spirit, now take them. Right? And it was just like, basically my spirit doesn't take to yours, right? It's just something there that's just, no. And I don't know what it is that people, I've had it in the past and people just be like, oh, what is it? What is it? Tell me what it is. And I'm just like, I don't even know.
Right.
But it's just something in me is just saying, I don't want to be around that person if I don't have to be.
Yes.
And you should be able to respect that. And me just saying, it's not like I don't like them. It's not like I've said they've done anything wrong. Not to make them less of a person. But my spirit just don't tip to you. Like, no, I don't. We don't mesh well. Like, and then sometimes, like, sometimes it's been where my spirit just doesn't take to them, and I can't pinpoint it. But then it ends up being like, actually, no, I don't like being around them. I don't like that person. And then they come and show their arse, and I'm like, okay, that is why.
Right.
That's the reason why I didn't take them, because I realized actually they're an asshole.
Your instinct is telling you that before they show that. But also, I think that is definitely the case a lot of the time. But also, it's good as well that, like, there's two things about that I really like. I'm just like, I think you understand. I can understand why, especially happens to me as well. If, like, because I don't know, I tend to. It used to happen to me a lot when I was younger.
Sorry, did you say it got?
Oh, sorry.
Got real dark, like it's gonna rain. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah,
it felt like nighttime.
It keeps changing over here too. It's kind of freaking me out because I'm here in my fucking summer shirt, and then it's like, keeps getting cloudy and weird. Anyway, but I was
as a child.
As a child, so go back to your deep childhood pain, Alan. That's where you're. As a child, my mother would dress me like this, you see. But I used to hang out with people who were generally quite different to one another. And I think I still do that. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to do. I'm happy that I'm like that. But then frequently I find myself in a situation where I'll be friends with someone, and then, like, my other friend would be like, why do you like this person? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then that's real. But also, like, the opposite true. Like, the other person will also, like, dislike them, which is just so funny. But I think that whatever your set of preferences are, you got to understand why people want to know that, because they think it reflects something negative about them. Because if you're friends with if they're friends with one person and you don't like them but they like you, then they're kind of afraid that it says something negative about them, so they want to know the reason. Now sometimes there's a reason that, like you said, that comes up later on. You're like, there's the evidence, there's them showing their ass. But sometimes as well, you have to be able to accept the people who you like are not necessarily going to get on with other people that you like. That's another part of acceptance, is they don't need to reflect everything about you in order to still be very close with them, And I think that's important too,
I have that with one of my friends. Like, she doesn't mix her friends. Like, if we're gonna go and do something, we're going to do something, and then like she doesn't mix. And at first I used to think, I was like, really? Like, why? And she's like, because you don't need to be friends with them. Like, I'm friends with you. Like, this is our friendship. Like, I don't need to bring other people into it, because then sometimes as well it can get messy. And I was just kind of like, oh, I get it. Like, because in a lot of, like, issues that you have that come up, it's normally something. It could be that friend doesn't like that friend, or they've had, like, some sort of miscommunication, and now, but you're all friends, then now it's like, whose side do you pick? If you don't mix friends, you ain't got those problems.
That's
like,
true. Very practical.
The only time you guys will happen to probably, like, see each other, maybe introduced, and that's it, is if I have, like, a party or something like that.
Or for, like, a handoff for the friend pass up. All right, see you later. I'm going with this one then. Like a baton getting passed around.
But it's like, it makes sense, because then it stops that level of confusion or, like, misunderstandings. And not everybody is on the same level, like, whether it be intellectual level or, like, I don't know, spiritual journey or whatever. Like, everyone's on different, like, levels. So why do you have to bring your friends together and then make them have to be on the same level? Like, no.
It's like the idea of trying to
be friends.
It's like, if you try, it's sort of connected to the idea that if you try and please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. If you're trying to tailor things so that they're going to be, until yourself, right? So that you're going to be appealing to all the different groups. You're going to end up either pulling one way or the other and causing conflict, or just ending up in some weird bland version of yourself that doesn't really reflect. That's the other thing too, right? Because like when you're with different people, you play up different aspects of your own personality. And I think even I used to think myself, I'd be like, oh, is there something like fake about that? Like I'm with this person and I'm acting in this way, but then I'm with this other type of person, I'm acting in a different way. And sometimes I think if those people see you acting in different ways, then they sort of feel like you're being duplicitous or fake in some way. Whereas actually now my thought process on that is like, no, it's just like, you're just expressing different sides of yourself. It might be disconcerting for other people to see that. I get that. But there's nothing actually fake about doing it yourself, you know, playing up one aspect of your personality or the other. It's great.
I actually agree with you.
She said with complete surprise and shock. But wait until the horny goat reviews come in. Then we'll see a big difference. I hated this. I love it. I can't stop drinking it. That's when the real conflict will start. Oh, shit.
I was thinking about, I was actually having this conversation with my sister the other day, and I thought, let me make a note of it. Like, you know, when you started up with like the comedy thing, and people would be like, oh, so who's your favorite comedian, and like what comedians do you watch, and who do you follow, and those kind of things, like who inspired you and all that kind of stuff. Now for me, when people would ask me that question, I'm just like, no one. Like I can watch someone and I can find them funny, but I don't follow anyone's career and be like, oh yeah, like this is the person that like I aspire to be, and this person made me want to be a comedian, this person made me. And it feels like if you are in any sort of, how can I say, like any kind of like profession in the sense of like entertainment, or like, because it's obviously in designing field and stuff like that, people assume that you're supposed to either want to assimilate to be like somebody, aspire to be like someone, and you've got to have, this person has to have laid out the blueprint for you to have to be like, okay, this is what I want to go towards. And I was like, and if you don't say, oh, this person, like, people kind of look at you like, oh, well, are you really serious about the craft? Are you really like, you know, and it's like, I am, but I want it, like, I'm doing this off my own back. Like, I can watch someone and I can be like, yes, that is funny. But why do I have to pick somebody and literally like suck their ass just to be like, yeah, I want to be like this person. I want to be like this person. Like this person gave me the green light to be like, ooh, you can be funny.
Right. Yeah, they gave me the
no, my parents never freaking muted me, and I've been able to be myself. Like, I've been outspoken since the age of freaking, well, bloody, since I could speak. I think it's like probably like 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And no one's ever muted me and said to me like, no, like, you can't be funny. No, everyone's encouraged it and been like, okay, yeah. So why would I then be like, oh, well, now I have to attribute it to, I don't know, like Kevin Hart or like Richard Pryor or why do I have to attribute it to these people?
Yeah, it's the
when I did it on my own. Yeah, and it's like, if you don't follow that norm, all of a sudden it's like, oh, you don't really know the cast, or and you don't know all the freaking names in the fucking business, and you're like, I've never fucking heard of Joe Blogs. I don't know who the fuck that is. Yeah. But because I don't know who it is, then you're not really like, you haven't really like really researched the craft and know all these kind of things. I've been funny all my life, and I've taken a course, and I've realized that I can translate it to the stage now. That's where I am. Like, find me funny or you don't, but like, I've realized that I can translate it to the stage. People seem to like it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to see how far I can take this.
Sure. Absolutely.
Like, that's my story.
I think that's really interesting though, because that's definitely something that comes up, not just comedy, with all sorts of things. People always want to know like what your influences are, or again, what your idol is. And some people who are great really do seem to have those stories where they saw somebody who was a big name and it really inspired them, or as you say, gave them permission or gave them what it was. And that's cool. But I definitely know what you mean. It's like, and I'm basically the same as you. I find when people ask me what comedians you really like look up to or aspire. I mean, there's loads that I like, but there's not like, there's not like the one person that made me, you know what I mean? It's not really like that. And I know exactly what you mean. When you don't have this sort of list of your idols or whatever, people, they really think that you don't take it seriously. And it's just, I don't know exactly what that is though. I mean, I think one example is that, or one reason is maybe some people have that experience. So they assume if you don't have the same experience as them, that means that you're not as committed or interested as them. I don't think that's the right conclusion, but I get that. That makes more sense. But then also I think sometimes, especially if somebody's not in that field, so if somebody's just a fan, right? Like so in the case of comedy, if somebody's not a comedian, if they're just a fan, like they would not imagine you, because all they really do is follow other people and really enjoy and have their favorites. They would again imagine that you would be in the same boat as them in terms of having a favorite or having an idol. And it's but I don't know exactly why that is. It's definitely the case though. It definitely is the case. People want you to have these heroes, or they want you to, and again the thing, I can't believe you've never heard
and like of
and
this
like, person.
And it's usually like
you know,
it's really odd. And if you don't know like the greats, and then it's like, then are you actually paying homage to these people? Like, are you showing them respect if you don't even know who they are? Blah blah. Like, that's like, I should be like, well, you should know who I am, isn't it? Like, what you should know about? No, it's true.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
It should be like, well, that's the case. This is like really your field, like, and this is like you immerse yourself in this like comedy culture, and think like you should know. Oh, okay, so these people are now the people who are new on the scene. Okay, cool,
sure,
right?
Sure.
So these people are up and coming. Okay, right. So I think they may make it, or I don't think they may make it. But like, you should have your hand in all these pies, and you should freaking know everything, then, shouldn't you? It just really irks me, the fact that everyone just expects you to be an individual, be different, but then still follow the social norms. Follow the social norms, because if you don't follow those norms, then I don't really think I can kind of like fuck with you, because you don't really get it, do you? Like,
it's I was talking to my brother about this, about doing creative kind of stuff, and it's because he writes a lot and things, but it's this kind of, it's the sort of I don't know what you want to call it, the disconnect or whatever between the kind of culture around an art form and like the art form itself, right? So like the art form is what you do. So it's you actually painting a picture, or you writing a story, or you telling the joke on stage, whatever it is. Whereas the culture, again, it's all that knowing the people, and kind of knowing the history and knowing the background. That's the kind of, and again, there's nothing wrong with that stuff, but that is its own sort of like, I don't know, little ecosystem or little set of norms. And that, which is good, but it's not, it doesn't actually produce the art stuff. It's a the art, or whatever you want to call it, the comedy all the cultural norms are a byproduct of the art. The art is not a byproduct of the cultural norms. And I think that's what sometimes people sort of mistake. They think if you know if you have all this knowledge, if you have all this history, or that means either one, you're more serious, or two, you're going to be better at what you do. Whereas, like, we know, sure, you know from your own personal experience, there's plenty of people who know all the shit and they're just rubbish. And I'm sure there's some people who know all the shit and are very good as well, but they're not very good because they know. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, it's not a one-to-one, and it's it can be, that can be frustrating. Not just with comedy, with all sorts of stuff. I think people, they love the lore, you know, the background, the history.
Like my sister was saying with her clothing, like people would be like, "Oh, what are you like? Who's your inspiration?" and that kind of thing. And it's like, well, they expect you to be like, "Oh yeah, like I know, like Gucci or blah 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 and Prada, blah." And she's like, but I don't want to be like them. Like, they're not my inspiration. Like, that's no. And then, like, if you look at these people and you kind of follow their stories, her story's not going to be the same, because when they did their shit, it was years before she did hers. So, like, the story's not going to be the same. Like, humans are annoying.
Humans are very annoying, Chanel. And on this point, we agree. On this point, we agree. Just, oh, God, people, they make you sick. They make you sick, so they would. It's very frustrating. But the other thing is, it's not just frustrating. It's good not to get caught up in that as well, because you can get caught up in that in lots of different ways. And sometimes you get not caught up in it in one section, like oh, I don't care about this, but then you find yourself getting sucked into it in other aspects of your life as well. You know, all that cultural climate stuff it's great. History is great. It's great to look at other people who were influenced and stuff like that. But that's only the byproduct of doing your own thing and making your own stuff. That can't actually make you get up there and do it. You know what I mean? Like that won't. Your sister knowing all that shit will not make design the new shit for her. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It might give her some ideas, might give her some, but it doesn't actually do the work. You have to do it. Yeah. Cool.
100% agree. But yeah,
so,
it was just everything. I was like, why are people like this? Like, why? And people was like going back and forth and just been like, I don't have anything, because people always will ask me, and I'm just like with my coaching, and then be like, oh, okay, so
do you want to be
coaching wise, like, you know, like, do you want to be the next Tony Robbins? No, like that's not the aim that I want to go down. Like, yes, his coaching has helped millions of people, blah blah blah, but I feel like now he's so up there that the people that realistically kind of would need him in a sense can't afford him.
Right.
So I don't ever want to be like that unattainable, that the people that actually will still need me can't afford me. Like, and I ain't trying to make you lose your house because you're trying to get some coaching from me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
want to be some good coaching, huh? You know?
Right, like I don't ever want to be like that unattainable. But coaching can be
inaccessible or whatever.
It can be like so very lucrative. Like you could spend like 10 to 15 grand on a coach.
I know.
And I'm just like, that would be nice, but like not everyone can afford that. Absolutely. So it's all you can have that the option for like one or two people, but you can't make that be literally like that's now my bench for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, especially if you actually care about helping people, because you're literally excluding all these other people who potentially could benefit from your help or whatever. So it's like everything. There's a balance. You can't give your shit away for free because you got to eat as well. But it's you don't want. But again, you don't want to be the next whoever Tony Robbins. You just want to be the next Chanel Marshall, because you know what I mean.
Exactly.
That's who you are. Yeah, it's funny.
You know, comedian, coach, getting it all. You know,
I can get it all. Getting it all. Podcast star. There you go. Don't forget that. There you go.
Just tick,
ding.
Tick.
It's like, oh shit! I did another one. Didn't even intend to. It's fun. I do think. I mean, I was trying to think about coaching, but more broadly than that, more in a kind of influencing people way, not like influencer. I don't mean like I'm posing in my underwear with the latest, electronic device. I don't think that would work for starts. I'm not sure I'm built for the gram in that sense. Although actually, you know what, maybe, hey, listen, how about that? An anti-influencer. So what I do is I'd be like one of those like extortion calls. I call up, what's your sister's brand? I call her up and I say, listen, I love your clothing. I love it's great. But if you don't give me 2,000 British pounds, I'm going to wear it with my hairy arse hanging out and take a picture of it on Instagram. And I'm going to blow it up. Nobody's going to want it. That's what I do. I call up Samsung. There's a picture of, if there's a picture of me on the toilet with my Samsung, looking really red in the face. I'm like, this is going worldwide unless you put 20,000 fucking yuan or whatever it is in my bank account. I could be an anti-influencer. This is good. This could be the money maker I've been waiting for. Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. No, but I was talking about that. Oh yeah, but influencing people more generally, I was thinking, because was trying to think about how you value your life. Basically, I have no value, and I'm trying to find like mental gymnastic ways to think that I do. The subplot to what I'm about to talk about. But I was, it's just like you want to bring value sounds very businessy, if you know what I mean. But I mean, like how do you measure, your worth, or how do you measure the value in life? Because if you're going to do it, because if I'm going to do it by my net income, then I'm not sure that's going to be a great metric for my self-esteem at the present time as an unemployed ghoul, right? So I'm like, so obviously, money's not important, blah, blah, blah. But
money is important. This is where
this is fuck,
yeah, people like, that's the thing, because people say, oh yeah, money isn't everything. Money can't buy you happiness. Well, no, because you can't literally go in and buy happiness off the shelf.
When happiness bleeds.
But it can definitely facilitate a happier life.
I tell you what, hey, listen, if you're going to be miserable, I'd rather be miserable in a Lambo. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
let my tears hit the dash. Like that's absolutely fine. Thank you.
That should be for the Chanel clothing brand, like hashtag let my tears hit the dash. I like that. But then I'd extort money out of you. I'd be wearing it, half naked, covered in Nutella or something. You'd be like, money in the bank account. So, but I was like, one way I think is a good way of measuring like your value self is really is like the influence you have on other people. You know what I mean? In terms of the positive influence. So I mean, like you do it as part of the business, but also just like in terms of your friends, in terms of your family, because I was thinking about all this stuff recently, and I was speaking to someone, they were saying like, you bring, speaking about me, they're saying you bring a lot of like joy or happiness to people around you, and it's like sometimes I think people really undervalue that in themselves. Like they've got a bunch of relationships with different people, and they sort of think, oh, what am I doing? But whereas you really bring. I think that's a very good measuring stick, is how much, joy or insight or whatever else you want to call it, like you bring into other people. I mean, I think that's a really good measuring stick. And then I'm trying to think, like, how am I doing that, and how do I want to continue doing it? And also for me as well, like, how much of it is public versus private? Because the massive fame, the fame is going to my head now, Chanel. This the huge audiences that we draw, the Wembley Stadium, the massive arenas that we fill. It's really, so much.
The Pied Piper.
Just having to fight my way through all of the supermodels, trying to please, just let me get to my limousine, please. It's difficult, but also it's like how much do you want it to be public versus how much you want it to be private? You know what I mean? Like, because you might say you go and do a gig, and again, there's no hard and fast rules, but like if you're doing a gig for like 30 people and you make 2 of them laugh, you make say 20 some of them laugh, that's great. But maybe that's half an hour that you could have spent like with your friend or your sister, your brother, or somebody that would have brought them more value. And then it's like, how do you weigh that? You know what I mean? So and again, I'm not actually looking for hard and fast rules, but I have been thinking about like, measuring your own value in terms of what you bring to others, but also then balance between public and private. I'm talking about the healthcare system.
No, but like with that, when you're saying about that half an hour could have been spent with like your family or your friends or whatever. One, they should have been at the show anyway. Two, the value that you're bringing to the audience, you're bringing value, whether it's like one person in there, whatever. Or it could be the fact that you're bringing value because that person who's put on that open mic night struggled to get comedians to turn up. Do you get what I mean? So either way, by being there, you're adding something. And it shouldn't be that you're worried about taking away from someone else, because also you've got to bring value to yourself. So by you doing that show, that's making you feel good. Like you're doing something that you enjoy. You're doing something that sparks joy to you. So why would you then put yourself on the back burner?
Yeah.
somebody else.
Whatever you're doing, although the only thing I say that, yeah, you have to be doing it to bring joy to yourself. So actually, whichever one of the two you would most prefer to do is what you should do. So actually, you might prefer to spend the time with la la la. But yeah, it shouldn't be because you're trying to sacrifice one thing for the other. Your own joy or enjoyment should always be in the center. This is great. You see, once again, you just telling me to look after my own damn self. This is great. See,
it's true.
That's why you're such a good coach. It's true, though. It is actually true.
The other day about stop drinking from an empty cup. Like, stop drinking from the empty cup. Your cup should be overflowing, and then everyone else gets the overspill. Like, because if you're constantly running on empty and you're giving, you've got nothing left for yourself.
Right.
Fill yourself up, make yourself completely, entirely happy, and then people get to reap the benefits alongside you. Yeah. Not where everyone's reaping the benefits and you're getting nothing.
Sure. No, I think that's really good. Yeah.
Stop drinking from an empty cup.
I do. I think it's a really good, but I like that as an idea. As a metaphor, though, I'm like, then it means people are like drinking all this slop I've dropped on the table. I feel like it gets a little disgusting, but I know what you mean.
No, because if the tap is, say for instance, the fact that the tap is continually running, like the cup is going to overflow, so which means that there is overspill for people. It's not like the bottom of the scum or whatever. Like, no, it's just overfill.
Much like we spoke about. Yeah, right. I tell you what now, it's, you call it waterfall, I'm calling it your sloppy seconds metaphor. That's what I'm calling it. But I agree with the principle. I'm accepting the ideas. I'm just not necessarily accepting the metaphor. Because I just can't think of, I just keep thinking of a gummy mouth on a fucking dirty cup. Anyway, Ugh.
Why would you, that would even cross my mind. I'm hoping the people that saw my post didn't think that, okay? Because the feedback I got was not that, so that's absolutely fine. People got what I was saying and didn't take it to the next level of a comedian called Alan Byrne and think that they're basically all spit swapping and licking the same rim.
Hey, but maybe I could make that into my own metaphor for my own life, my coaching business. Like, lick, don't lick a dry rim. How's that? That'll be the name of this episode now. Don't lick a dry rim. Your fault.
I'm thinking like,
it's your fault.
I swear, like, it's not. It's
you chose to be friends with me. You chose to be friends with me. This is what you got. It said it on the box when you bought it. 90% horror and disgust. It said it right there. 10%.
And I gave you a privilege, right? I gave you a privilege, and every time you just throw it back in my face with your sexual innuendos, and just have to make it crass. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about, sexual innuendos. I'm talking about cups. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Disgusting. Terrible.
Every freaking time. I think I'm like, okay, we've managed like 10 minutes
of adults grown up like conversation, and then I'm just like, yeah, but balls.